Hey guys, welcome to the Something About Tuesdays podcast. I'm your host, Phoebe Joy. Join me every other Tuesday for a lighthearted podcast to keep you company while you do your thing. Hey guys, welcome back to Something About Tuesdays, episode 15. Hi, hey, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. So glad you're still listening 7 months later. Or if it's your first time, welcome. I'm your host, Phoebe Joy, and hey, I hope you enjoy the podcast today. I think it's going to be a good one. Of course, I think obviously all of them are good ones, I hope. But I do think some of the topics today are kind of funny, so we're going to go ahead and right in. I kind of wanted to start with, so this last, week and a half or 2 weeks, I've just been reminded of how human I am, which normally is quite disappointing. Because usually you think you're pretty awesome, and then you realize that you're human. And you're like, okay. But it actually hasn't been too bad. Like normally when I have those, oh my goodness, I'm human moments, it's because I have failed at something or I have let my own self down. And we almost kind of think that being human is this bad thing, right? But it doesn't have to be. It could actually be kind of a humorous thing, depending. But so I've been very human these last couple of weeks, just with some silly things that's been going on. But one thing that kind of encouraged me is when you realize that even though you're human, so is everyone else, and you are not alone in your humanity. And that can be encouraging. And it hit me, I think, this past week, I would probably say the most when I was reading my Bible. And I'm trying to do better at that. That is one thing I struggle with, is consistently reading my Bible. But I was reading it this past 2 weeks, and I was reading 1 Kings chapter 18. So this is where we're going to be dealing with Elijah and Ahab and all of that. But before we get into Elijah's great standoff between the prophets of Baal, I believe, and of course the Lord God at that time. And his name was Jesus, but Yahweh at the time. That Elijah had this moment between another prophet, Obadiah, and their interaction reminded me so much of wow, a lot of times when we read the Bible, we see these, or when we think about these people in the Bible, we think of them as characters, and we kind of think of them as better humans than us, or they're sort of like a, I don't want to say more than human. They're not more than human. They're definitely human, but we kind of have this idealized view of them. But when you actually go and read the Bible, you realize that they were 100% human too. And so I was reading the interaction between Obadiah and Elijah, and I'm going to give you a brief summary to show you about why this kind of made me giggle. Because they're both prophets. They're both important men of God. But this conversation was just hilarious. Okay, so apparently King Ahab, he was we're going to call him just a bad king at the time, against the Lord and all of that, serving other gods. And he was looking for Elijah. And he wasn't able to find him because, God was keeping Elijah hid and keeping him safe from Ahab and all that stuff. But so Obadiah is currently with Ahab, and at that time, kind of the prophet around there, because I believe Ahab had lots of prophets at that time. Correct me if I'm wrong. I just read that chapter. I didn't read the entire context. I have read it before, I will say that. But so I'm kind of just going off my memory here. But so Obadiah had run into Elijah at some point. So if you think about on chapter 18, he'd run into Elijah, and so Elijah's been hiding. And so Elijah's like, hey, Obadiah, go ahead and tell King Ahab where I am. And Obadiah, he's the one whose response got me. He's like, are you serious? He's like, have I not proven that I am worthy? Haven't I proven that I am a servant of the Lord God? Have I not been a prophet? Have I not stayed faithful and true? And you want me to go tell Ahab where you are so he can kill me? I was like, I can see it, it said it in Bible words. I don't want to say Old English, but however it is, maybe it's Old English, I don't know what it's considered. But in modern day, he's like, what? You trying to tell me to go there so I can tell him where you are? And then when he comes to find you, because God has hidden you so far, you're going to be hidden again. And then when he can't find you, he's going to want to kill me because he can't find you because God's been hiding you because God loves you. So you want me to go tell Ahab where you are just so you can hide and then I get killed? And I just thought that was so funny because I was like, I mean, humanity, like you can be someone super close to God. You love God. You are faithful to him. And then there are just some moments that you're like, wait a minute. I am faithful, but you asking me to do what? Won't that cost me something? Is that going to cost me my life? And so I just thought it was funny. And he was like, not wanting to do it. And then till Elijah was like, pretty much, I promise, if you go tell Ahab where I am, I will be here when he gets here. And so Obadiah did do it. I think he would have done it either way, but I just thought it was funny that his reaction initially was like, why are you asking me to do this? Like, you trying to get me to die. So anyway, so that just reminded me that even though we are human, we are definitely not alone in our humanity. And there are lots of, it's kind of funny because we call them stories in the Bible, but really they're stories, but they're true stories. And it's real accounts of humans, of people in the Bible. And so their reactions are going to be very human sometimes. And when, we read it or when we hear about it, sometimes we can forget it. But if you actually go in and look at it and read the words and kind of think of, okay, let's just pretend it was modern day. Like, what would it be like? What would they be saying? And it kind of just reminds you that, hey, we're all human. We've been human from the beginning of time. But that even the people in the Bible, like these amazing people who are literally written in the Bible, were human and have their stories. And so that kind of ties into this, what I want to start this episode with are the oopsies in life. I don't want to say oopsies, but my goodness, I've had some oops moments this past week and a half that are just kind of funny. And so in the same vein of like of Bible and things like that, I had a ministry oops. It wasn't this past week, but it was sometime in this past few months. And so at our church, people can get baptized in Jesus' name, and there was a lady there who wanted to get baptized, and I was like, I will help. I would just happen to be around. I was willing to go help her to, get into her baptismal robe and all of that stuff. And so we go down to the, I guess like the dressing room area to get her in her baptismal robe. And we put her in the robe. I handed her the robe and let her put it on. And she came out of the room and it was on backwards. Like imagine just like a big, from the neck down to your ankles, big robe, that just like a big zipper that goes from the bottom to the top, right? And then that's like the only thing that connects it in the middle. Well, somehow it was on the other way, where the zipper, where you would think you would zip it from like the front, it was zipped from behind. She had zipped it backwards up the back. And so in my brain, I was like, okay, I think it's backwards, but yeah, no big deal. And I had my friend, she was down there with me, Emily, she was helping me, and she's like, I think that's on backwards. And we were like, the girl and I were like, yeah, maybe it'll be all right, though. It's fine. Y'all, it was not fine. We go up to get her baptized. We go up the stairs and we go into the sanctuary, and she goes into the baptismal tank, and the way our baptismal tank is set up is there is a place for people to sit inside of it, and then when they get baptized, they get dunked under, but they're sitting and they go backwards, so you don't have to dump their like entire body, their whole body is immersed. Don't get me wrong, but like they're sitting, and then they go backward and you pull them up, if you can picture that. Well, the problem came when when she went to sit down. Because it was on backwards, I guess it would pull it down, and it was kind of choking her because it was so close up against the neck that it started pulling against her neck. And so she was kind of like shift around, and the preacher and the pastor were like, what's going on? Because they're like trying to get ready, and she keeps kind of trying to move, and they're like, this baptismal robe is on backwards. And so what we thought wasn't a big deal was a big deal because it kept choking her. But we weren't going to go change it now, so we were like, well, we got to get this done quick. And my pastor, he was like, Sister Phoebe, you had one job. And we laughed. I was like, oh, because poor thing, this is supposed to be the most spiritual, like one of the best moments of her life. And she's getting slightly choked while doing it. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like I should have said something. I should have been like, yeah, let's just flip it around. Let's do it right. Well, now I know. And now I know for next time that we do have to have the zipper in the front. We're not going to do it in the back. We got to make sure that we have it right. So it doesn't choke the poor person on one of the most important moments of their life. I mean, everybody, it was good humor all around. Nobody seemed upset. Like I said, it was a beautiful moment that wasn't ruined. But it was kind of humorous, and it made me think, wow, like sometimes you really are trying. You really are. And then you're like, huh, maybe I should have did that a little bit differently. But she got baptized, and you could tell her, her heart was touched. And afterward, we went downstairs and we were able to pray a little bit. And it was a great moment overall. It didn't ruin anything, but it did kind of make me laugh. And I was like, oh my goodness, like sometimes in ministry, there are just some oops moments. If you have any of those, man, share them on the Instagram. Send me a message or something and let me know. Because one, like I said, it's not always the best when we're reminded that we're human, but it's a lot better when we realize, you know what, but so is everybody else. And we're all in this together and it's okay. So that was kind of a funny moment. But y'all, this is why I think this episode's hilarious. I gotta tell you one more. There's one more moment that happened this past week. This was maybe a few days ago even. I can't remember exactly when. It was either a few days ago or this past week where, okay, so my mom and I, we work at the same school. We're both teachers. And for our district, in order to log into any of your, like in your laptop, your computer, any of your devices, you have to have a code that comes through a text on your phone every single time you log in. So it's very important that we have our phones with us every day at work because we need it in order to log in for security purposes or whatever. So my mom had forgotten her phone. So on her way to work, she stopped by my sister's and she called me using my sister's phone. It was like, hey, can you pick up the phone from the house and then bring it to school with you? And I was like, yeah, of course, because I'm always leaving later than mom anyway. I can definitely stop by mom's house on the way. It would be no problem at all. I was like, yeah, no problem. I got this. So I go. I actually remember to stop by because sometimes that's my problem too. I'm like, yeah, totally. And then I'll completely forget. But this time I did remember. And I get to mom's house. Dad actually ended up being off that day. He had an appointment. And so I got to see dad and we were talking. But I grabbed mom's phone and I was like, all right, I'm going to go take it to her. See you, dad. Awesome. And I go to get my car. I'm just bouncing, my good deed for the day. And I get in the car and I think I'm going to call mom and let her know that I have her phone. Y'all, I didn't catch it. I didn't catch it before I pushed the call button. I pushed the call button. I mean, when I say mom's phone is in my lap, okay? Remember, this is what I picked up. I pushed the call button. I'm going to call mom and let her know I have her phone. And it started vibrating and ringing in my lap. And I was like, are you kidding? I turned my phone off. I did turn it off and I was like, no, you didn't. Y'all, I let it ring in my lap. When I say I felt so stupid, and I do not like to use the word stupid. I don't say stupid, but I felt so stupid that all I could do was laugh at myself because I was like, you legit was trying to call mom to let her know you had her phone. I mean, no, I had made it all the way through pushing the button and letting it ring in my lap before I was like, wait a minute, this isn't going to work. I have to actually wait till I get there to let her know I have her phone. Y'all, it was so funny. I was like, you were so dumb. I was like, you were so silly. Oh my goodness. I was like, y'all, I had to shake my head. I thought I was awake that morning. I thought I was doing good. And I was like, nope. Oh, you are so silly. That was just a funny moment, you guys. I was like, how could you forget? Like, you have mom's phone. Like, you ain't gonna be able to contact her quite yet. But it was funny. It was a moment where I just felt silly. I just felt so human, and it was just hilarious. But It's kind of like those moments where when you're like laying in bed and you're scrolling through your phone and then you drop your phone, like you just drop it on your face and you just feel like, oh my gosh, like, how did I do this? Another thing I'll do is sometimes I'll be in my bed laying, scrolling through my phone. I'm trying to get better at it. Like I said last week, I'm getting better at, turning that off at a certain time. But when you're laying there and you're scrolling and then you start falling asleep, but I guess because it's still on, like your hands start clicking stuff. And I've woken up to websites and I'm like, what? Like I must have clicked on something. I'm worried I'm accidentally buy something one day, call somebody. Um, just all those things that if you aren't aware can happen on your phone. But anyway, so those are my oops human moments of the last couple of weeks. Honestly, I feel like that could be a whole nother segment in and of itself, like some human moments where you just feel like, oh boy, I'm definitely human, the good and the bad. So anywho, I think last week I mentioned, and maybe the week before, I talked about how I have a new position at my school where I am working with multilingual learners, which is the new kind of term for our English as a second language or English language learners. So I'm doing that. But with that position, as I said, I have opportunities to sub a lot. So this past week, I've had a lot of opportunity to sub in our kindergarten classes. And I taught kindergarten. I taught kindergarten, but I feel like it barely counts because I did it the year of COVID. And so a lot of it was online. And when we did come back in person, our district had put in place a hybrid schedule. So we saw, half the kids on 2 days and half the kids on the other 2 days. And so it was still different. It wasn't quite kindergarten like you would normally anticipate. And it was towards the end of kindergarten when we did that. So while I had taught kindergarten before, I hadn't taught it in the same capacity. So I was able to sub in those classrooms this week. And I have to say, so kindergarten, when they say it's like herding cats, you guys, that is no joke. That is so real. Because when you're like, okay, I got like out of the 26 to 27 kids, I've got like 20. And then you go to get the other 7. And then as soon as you get one, another one goes. And you're like, okay, let me get this one. And then another one goes. And wow, it's like herding cats. So shout out to all you kindergarten teachers. You guys are master teachers and just y'all are amazing because it takes a whole lot of skill. Let me pause here too. Because I feel like sometimes there is this idea that a kindergarten teacher, because they're teaching the basics, like that they don't work as hard, or that they don't have to have as much as teach. Get that far from your mind, because teaching children, period, is not an easy task. But teaching them the content, teaching them the social skills, teaching them what school looks like, teaching them expectations, teaching kids who've never, ever done it before is a skill, and it is not easy. And kindergarten teachers honestly should get paid like a little more, like, because there's just a lot on them, but they do it, and they sometimes are like the most cheerful and happy and enthusiastic teachers, which is amazing because, when kids are starting out school, they should have those type of teachers because they're about to do this thing for the next 12 years. So let's at least start out on a high. But so shout out to all you kindergarten teachers. You're amazing. While I was there, though, I had the opportunity to be with them, and the kindergarten, they are so precious in so many ways. They get so energized just by the simple things. Like I was working with the class, we were practicing counting, I think up to 5 and even up to 10, and just being like, okay guys, let's count. Ready? 1, 2, and they're like 1, 2, and they were just so excited to just count. And I was reminded, like, this is like their experience with school. If they hadn't had preschool, this is like their first experience, and this is the fun part. For most of them, it's fun, and just the energy, like they're not like burnt out on school yet. They haven't gotten to the point where it's that, how sometimes, and this is kind of the sad part, where kids start to recognize whether they know the content or not, and sometimes that can play a part in their motivation and into how they feel about school. Well, in kindergarten, they're there, they're them, they're their personalities. They're just, they're there to have fun. Some are there to learn. They're just there, but they bring such a wonderful energy. And so it was fun doing that. But, and they say cute things like they do. One of the little girls, I had my hair just kind of in like a fro. And she came up to me and she touches my hair. She's like, oh, fluffy hair. And I was like, yeah, it is. But it was so cute. They're just precious. And I had a lot of heart melting moments with them. In fact, I've had a lot of heart melting moments with my kids in this past couple weeks that I want to share with you. So one of the heart melting moments was there's this little guy in one of the classes, and I wouldn't say he's nonverbal because he definitely uses his voice to communicate sometimes, but he doesn't necessarily, talk in sentences or things like that. So he views the world differently and interacts with the world differently. And so we had this moment. So it seemed like he had, I won't say a rough day, but I was a substitute teacher, so I wasn't his normal teacher, and that's a change that can be hard for kids. And so he was sort of having a rough day. But at the end of the day, they had snack, and we had our goldfish, and he was so eager and ready to have his goldfish. And so we were sitting at his desk, and we were, we had like this baby doll that we played with, and we would, kind of use to communicate and talk with each other. But he was sitting there, and it was time for the goldfish, and he would get a goldfish, and he would look at me, and I would pretend to eat one because I didn't want to take all his goldfish, but he would eat one, and we would lock eyes. And then while he's chewing, I would kind of pretend to chew, and then this little smile, which turned into a big smile, would come across his face as he was chewing, like enough to like squint his eyes. And we would just look at each other and smile and chew together. And my little heart melted because this was probably the first time all day that the little guy smiled at me, or, even like interacted in this way or looked me eye to eye. And I just felt like we had this moment where it was kind of like he was enjoying life and I was enjoying life. And if he was speaking, it would be like, hey, I'm glad you're here with me and we're eating this together. And it was the most precious thing, and my heart melted. And we were able to do that. And it was so cute. Man, if nothing else, like if you, for any, I don't know if this is good advice or not, but if there is maybe a kid, your own kid that you're like, okay, we need to bond because it ain't happening. Man, get some food between you guys, something that you both enjoy or something that even just the kid enjoys, and eat it together and just watch the smile, that can come from just eating together and being with one another. And that was the cutest, it was the most precious moment. I mean, that was like the calmest he had been that day, the most chill, and we just chewed on our goldfish together, and I absolutely loved it, and my heart melted. But I have more heart melting moments with school. So another one was I had read a book. So I'm in this new position as a English language development teacher, which is also what they call the teachers now instead of ESL teacher. It's sort of a transition we're going through. I've been working with my kids who speak a different language, and with that, I'm trying to learn more about different cultures and learn more about different backgrounds and things. And another one of the teachers in my department or in my area had recommended a book called When Stars Are Scattered, and it's a graphic novel about a young boy who lives in a refugee camp, and it's about him and his brother, and it just tells his story of being in that refugee camp. And I'm not going to tell you what happens or anything, because I would honestly go out, pick up that book and read it. I mean, I read it in like an hour. Like I said, it's a graphic novel, easy read, but such a good read. And just what happens in that book, it tugged on my heartstrings. It talked about the wait and waiting. And if you're someone who is waiting on things to happen in your life, man, there are parts of that book that will resonate with you. That will you'll vibe with it. You'll be like, that is me. And then you'll be encouraged by it and be connected to it. So it's just a really great book. Like I said, it's called When Stars Are Scattered. And It's a fantastic book that I would definitely recommend for anyone to read. But anyway, so another moment I had with my multilingual learner students, I had one little guy. I had to do an assessment on him, and but he only spoke Spanish, and so I had my translator on my phone, and I would translate, part of the assessment, and we would talk to each other. And at the end of our assessment, I told him, I was like, oh, by the way, so I'll be doing things like this because I'm your teacher here to help you learn English, to help you in school. And I told it to the little guy like it was translated, and right after it, he was like, gracias. And I was like, oh, you don't have to say thank you. Like, that's my job. But it was so sweet. I was like, well, you're welcome. De nada. Like, of course. Like, just the fact that he was a second grader will say thank you to me for just letting him know, hey, I'm going to help you learn English. Thank you. Thank you. Instead of just be like, okay, see you around. No, he was like, gracias. And oh, y'all, my heart melted. And I thought that was the sweetest thing. And then it was funny because we were walking back to class and I was trying to talk to him. And I think I was asking him, because one of the newest phrases I've learned from my friend at church, shout out Alex, is buen dia. Like, if you want to ask, like, how's your day going? She taught me, like, kind of a simple way to say, buen dia, good day. And so I asked him that, and he laughed, and he was like, buen, yeah, sí, it's good, or whatever. And I was like, mi español is un poquito or poquito, and he just laughed, but obviously in good humor, and he smiled and he was like, yeah. But it was so cute, like just the fact that we were able to bond as much as we could. We couldn't understand each other, unless we used the translating device. My little Spanish, his little English, we were trying, but it was just a great moment. And once again, my heart melted. I absolutely loved it. A good moment. And then last one, I mean, it's been a whirlwind of the last couple of weeks of just these great human moments that we've had. There was another test that I had to give, and this one made me think a little bit. So this was an assessment that was given on the computer. So all I had to do is pretty much just proctor the test. And so the little guy, he doesn't speak much English. He can understand it. He can speak some, but, there's obviously still some challenges there. And so the test was in English, and he was trying his best. Like, it was asking him to read some things, and he would try, but I could tell he was nervous. But then once he got to the end of the section, the test would say, you're a rock star, no matter how he did, right? And he would smile really big and look at me and smile, and I would smile right back. And then he would keep going. And then that section, no matter how he did, it would be like, great job, you're awesome. And he would smile really big. And I just saw this, from the beginning of the test where he was apprehensive and nervous about his abilities, just that continuous encouragement that every, few questions, it would remind him, you're amazing, you're awesome, you're doing great. It really made me think, like, that is something that as a human person, like, if that computer can do that, if that program or that test can do that, that's surely something that I can do. And so I was like, mental note, Phoebe, when you are working with these kids, at some point, no matter their performance, there are going to be times where you're going to have to be like, hey, this isn't right, and this is how we can fix it. But you can always say, but you know what? You're awesome. You're amazing. Because it doesn't hurt to make a kid feel good. Because trust me, people and humans, children, whomever, we are well aware of the things we cannot do and the mistakes that we make. And so while, yes, we do sometimes need people to speak into our lives and let us know when we're making those mistakes, even more than that, we need people in our lives to tell us, you know what, you made a mistake, but you are still awesome. You are still amazing, and I was like, okay, I'm going to keep that in my mind, in my head. And I'm going to try to do that, with my students and just with people around me and with you guys listening. You know what? You are awesome. You are amazing. And whatever capacity, whatever you're doing, whether you're doing it well or not, the fact that you're doing it, the fact that you're alive, that you're human, that you're here, you're awesome. You're amazing. God made you amazingly. I'm in school, and I'm taking a linguistics class. Yeah, I think it's my linguistics class. And one of the chapters I had to read was talking about just the biology of words and voice. And y'all, speech pathology, I could not. This was like, I guess, the speech pathology chapter, because it was talking about, your vocal cords, vocal folds, the glottal, maybe is what it's called, nasal versus oral sounds, and the something of articulation, the place of articulation, the manner of articulation, bilabial, labial, dental, like all of these terms that I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, I am definitely more like human and concept minded more than I am, science and the biology minded. And so that was kind of a tough chapter to read. So shout out to all you speech pathologists who understand that completely. But while I was reading that, I was like, wow, just the complexity of human language is amazing. And then the fact that there are, that our makeup, like the way that we are physically made, helps us to produce these sounds and to do these things. And I read somewhere where it was talking about how, like, even babies can, when they're in the mom's womb, can start to recognize, like, I don't know how they describe, like, sounds, like tones, or like types of speech, like I don't know how the research figured that out, but somehow, like, they can recognize these things, like, already as an infant, and then grow and develop and learn these things. I was just fascinated. And then just the complexity of human language and how we can do it, and the way our minds work, and the way we can form things. First off, I was like, wow, God, you're amazing. You know exactly what you're doing. But it's like, that's how God made us. He made us to be amazing, to do these awesome things like that. Something as basic as speech and language and learning. Like, that's just phenomenal. The fact that we can do that, the fact that we can learn, right? Like, just basic skills. So thank you, God, for making us that way. But, being human, you're awesome. You're amazing. And believe in that. Know that God created you to be amazing. So, yeah, those were my kind of my heartfelt moments of the last couple of weeks or so, and my oops. I did have a couple more quirks that I thought about. So last week I talked about, or last episode I should say, different sleeping habits and sleeping quirks. But one thing I've noticed is some like drink related quirks, right? One thing, and I think people do this, but I don't know where it came from. I honestly have no idea. And that is, before I get milk, and I drink almond milk because real milk makes my tummy hurt, is what I tell people. I love almond milk. If you haven't tried it, try it. It's great. Do the almond milk with vanilla. I like it regular. I don't get the unsweetened because I like the sweet part of it. I like the vanilla more than the not vanilla kind. I just like the flavor. To me, it's the closest to milk I can get. But when I have milk, before I pour it, I shake the jug. Yeah, like, what? Where did that come from? I think my mom does that maybe, but did I get that from my parents? And if so, where did they get it from? And why do they do that? Like, does it say to shake? Like, did I read it subconsciously? Like, why do we shake it? Is it because we think part of it will settle at the bottom? Like, I get why I might shake my orange juice, because I do think, like, some of the stuff settles at the bottom, so I shake my orange juice. But is it the same for milk? I don't know. Like, does it need to be shaken? I don't know. So I shake my milk jug before I pour it out. And so I just wondered I assume everybody does that, but why do we do it? And another thing I do without even thinking about it, and I don't know why I still do it, is if I have a soda can and I'm about to pour it out, I tap the can. And I think we used to do that because it was like, tap the can in case you don't want it to fizz out or whatever. I assume that was why we did it, but I don't know why. Like, I don't know why I still do it. I don't know if that is why we do it. I don't know why I tap the can, but I do it every time. Like, I won't open it without tap, tap, and then I open it that way. I'm not sure what that is, but that is just little quirks that I think, that I thought about, that I'm like, I bet other people do this. One of those human things, right? Okay. Now, I actually do have I'm going to just go right into the music segment for this week. And that is because, y'all, we are in September. And I love September. It is my birthday month. Woohoo! I just had my birthday this past Thursday. I turned 34. I will tell you what, being 34 it's a little different than previous birthdays. Yeah, it's like almost mid 30s. One of my friends, my bestie, she was like 34 is like mid 30s. I was like, I am not claiming that. Another one of my friends is like, no, wait, it's our last year of our early 30s, and that's what I'm gonna hang on to. It's the last year of my early 30s. Okay, it's not my mid 30s quite yet. But I when I woke up, I was like, huh, 34. This is 34. Like, I don't know. I was like, I'm almost like mid 30s. Before you know it, I'm going to be 40 and then I'll be middle aged. But one thing I thought about with that was, there was this, of course, this like, oh my, I'm getting older. But there was also this kind of grateful feeling that I made it another year. And I say that because I was talking to my pastor's wife about this. Like, I feel like the last few years, there's been so much loss, and death and even sicknesses and things like that, that and I don't know if that's always the case, but just as you get older, you're more aware of it. You're a little more cognizant, of those things that are happening around you. But I feel like I've just seen that a lot in the last few years. And honestly, like, you cannot take for granted the time that you're given, the time that you're alive. In fact, I was talking to one of my besties today, Emmers. She took me out for breakfast today, for my birthday. Thanks, Emmers. I actually really needed it. We had a great conversation, and she encouraged me, as she always does. But she also reminded me to, focus on those positive things, those great things that are going on in your life. And I know it's something we hear all the time, and it's something I'm sure I've said before on the podcast. And it's something I will probably continue to say, as a reminder to you guys and as a reminder to me, to just think about and focus on those positive things. Like, I am blessed to still be here another year when people haven't made it. They're not here. I am blessed to still be healthy. I am blessed to have to have family that loves me, to have friends that love me, to have a great church that loves me, to work at a school that loves me, or a school that I love to be at, with the students and the teachers. Like, I truly am blessed at 34. It's great. Like, I'm getting older, but I'm getting older with this amazing life around me, right? It's like it's not like I'm doing this on my own. I guess that's kind of almost a theme. Like, I'm human and I'm here, but I'm not on my own. I'm not alone in this. And so just kind of reflecting on that, on this birthday, that I have so many things to be grateful for, even as basic but as profound as simply being here, as simply being alive. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be recording this podcast, and to be doing these things, and to hopefully, being there to keep you company, to remind you that you're not alone, things like that. It's just been great. And so all of that from September, because September is one of my absolute favorite months, not just because it's my birthday month, even though, trust me, that makes it, that's probably at least what started the whole reason why I like September. But I love this transition from summer to fall. I love, like, how you have the hot days of summer, but you might have the cooler days of fall as fall starts to sweep in a little bit. Oh, I'm getting so excited. It's mid-September, so it's still pretty warm. It's still like low 80s, high 70s right now. But I'm enjoying it. I'm loving the weather. Like, right now is so perfect. For me, ideal weather is anywhere between 76 and 81. So this is the one. This is where we are. I'm loving it. I love the summer. And I think I'm actually starting to get, y'all, I think I said it last time, I am getting ready for fall. Like, I'm excited about fall. Yeah, I'm sure in the next few episodes, y'all are going to hear about all the things that I love about fall, because I can't enter each season without talking about and reminding myself of why this season is great. I actually think I need to apply that to my life. Like preach a message to myself about enjoy each season that you are in, whatever season you're in, enjoy it. So I do, like, I'm loving the fact that it's still summer. It is. I'm one of those who I am firmly, like, I do not decorate until it is after fall, whatever day fall lands on this year. I think it's September 22nd, 21st, 23rd, usually right around there. I don't know exactly. But so it is coming. It definitely is coming. But I was like, I'm not going to decorate until after literally fall stars because one, it's still warm. It's definitely still hot outside. And so I love the coziness of fall, but I am getting ready and I can't wait for those kind of cooler days where we get the fireflies. Okay. I don't want to wet my powder. I'm still enjoying summer. I'm enjoying the hot days, being out in the sun because I know I'm going to miss it once winter comes. So I'm enjoying the fall. But I said all that to say for my music segment this past week, I was driving in my car and I had this song on because it just felt appropriate. And it's the song September. By you have to listen to look, if you're going to listen to September, you got to do it in September, right? Like that's like the best time to listen to it. Yeah, so I was listening to September by Earth, Wind and Fire, and it was just a groovy song. It was just on the way to work. I was like, da, 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 da. I mean, come on. That whoever came up with that riff or that little I mean, that encompasses September. Like that is the that little tune, that grooviness, that like we're exiting summer, we're getting into fall, we're going into September, all those things is great. And so I was just jamming to that song. So if you get a chance before the end of September, just quickly listen to that song September. I know most of the time I do like to keep my songs, I definitely listen to Christian songs that glorify God, most all the time. But I do have to throw out this one, that this one was a good one. It's like got such a groovy beat. So that is my song segment because it's September in September, and how can you miss that, right? Like how could you not want to listen to September? So there's that for that music, that my song recommendation for the next couple of weeks. And then the last thing is, so I like to talk about, it was last week. I talked about songs that just kind of randomly pop into your head. Well, there are also songs that are triggered, like every time you hear something. I think I've talked about this before, like way back in the beginning, or maybe just, I don't know, like a couple of months ago. But things will trigger other songs. And I think at that time I talked about like Frozen, like I can't say let it go without saying let it go, let it go. How you just go and do that. But for me, oftentimes this happens a lot in church. So there's this song that I remember when I think it was in high school when I came out. But it says Gross sings. Let me think of the song. It said, if I be lifted up, out your arm and unto me higher. Be exalted, higher and higher. I can't remember the song. It's from Indiana Bible College. But every time I hear if I be lifted up, like if someone's literally just saying it, like quoting it in scripture in church, all I can think of is this. There's this part of the song where she goes, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men unto me. And she goes, nay, not me, but me, higher, and so like literally every time I hear if I be lifted up, in my head it goes, I will draw all men unto me. Like it just, I sing it. I can't say it. I have to sing it. So that's just, man, music is it's fun. That is my music segment. As far as my food segment, so I'm gonna brag. I haven't, which is kind of funny. It's like a preemptive food segment because I haven't done it yet. So, like I said, this past Thursday was my birthday, and so this morning my friend Immers took me out for breakfast, and it was lovely. And then this evening, I plan to eat dinner with my family. And we are going to go to this Korean restaurant called Lee's Korean. And so let me throw out there that my food segment, the food that I recommend or want to give a shout out to this week, is the Korean food from Lee's Korean. I specifically get the bulgogi, I think it's Bulgogi, I think is how it's spelled, the bulgogi, and that's like their Korean beef, and you get that. I like the seasoning of it. I'm not entirely sure what the seasoning is. Like I don't know if the seasoning is the bulgogi or if there's like some type of Korean barbecue. I don't know, but it's a good kind of seasoning to it. It kind of reminds me of like a teriyaki barbecue mix maybe, but we're going to go get some bulgogi, and, well, that's what I'm going to get, with some bulgogi and some rice, and with that, they bring out these 6 sides, and you get to pick them. Sometimes they brought out, like, in the beginning where my husband and I went. In fact, actually, this restaurant does have kind of a special place in our hearts because it is the first place my husband and I went when we first started hanging out. I don't want to say dating because we weren't dating at the time. We were just friends, but we did go eat, and we went to this Korean restaurant. So there's like some fondness there, but so they bring out different things, and it's those little sides that kind of like make the whole experience. It's so much fun. So they have my husband, he likes the kimchi. I'm not a huge kimchi person. That's the cabbage, I believe, with like this really spicy, I think it's spicy. I don't know. I haven't eaten it, sauce on it, but he likes that and he enjoys that. They have these little cut up square radishes. It's got the same red sauce, so it's still a little spicy. And they're cold, like they're served cold, and they're very crunchy, but they're really good. And I'm not sure what makes them good, but they're awesome. And then they have this, there's this can of this bean sprouts. I had never, honestly, I don't think I had eaten bean sprouts until I had been to this place, and they brought them out, just almost like a sampler. And so I ate these bean sprouts. They were cold. I think everything that they served was cold, even though sometimes it felt like it should have been warm. Like we had these potatoes. They're like little diced potatoes they come out cold, but they're still really good, but they do come out cold, but that's how they're served like every time, but they're still good. But the bean sprouts, so I've never had bean sprouts since I went to this restaurant. And, but I ended up really, I mean, that's when, I don't know what they flavored it with because it looked very plain. I guess, however, they like steamed it or cooked it like it was cooked in a seasoning because there wasn't anything on them that I could see, but they were very flavorful. So they were so good. And that's what started me being like, I like bean sprouts. And so now if my husband cooks like a Korean meal or whatever, he'll make the bean sprouts for me, and it's so yummy. In fact, we even got my dad enjoying it, and it was really good. But anyway, so they bring those out, and then they also bring out, so I mentioned the potatoes, and then they bring out this broccoli, which once again, it's so interesting because it's not raw broccoli. It is cooked. I guess it's steamed, but it's cold. And so I don't know. I guess they just cook it and then let it get cold. I'm not entirely sure, but it's still soft and it had that same flavor as the bean sprouts that were really good. So the cool thing is they all have this amazing, really fresh taste and flavor to it that it's just really good. And so Korean food, that's about the extent of my knowledge of Korean food. I know my husband, he gets this hot stone soup, which is like this big bowl of that's, I guess it's stone. I'm not entirely, I guess it's stone soup, so I guess it's made out of stone. And inside it is like boiling hot soup. And I think it comes with the egg on top, and it's got noodles in it, and he gets it with chicken, and he gets his so spicy. So it's like steamy and spicy and just hot looking and hot smelling and like red, like it's going to be spicy when it's red. And he gets that, and he loves it. So for those of you who like the spicy things, that hot stone soup, he really definitely likes. But if you kind of like the more mild thing like me, then the bulgogi is the way to go. I think honestly, I got that from my mom because my mom got it. I think my sister got it. I think Sydney got it. Like, so that the bulgogi is really good if you get a chance. And I think really all Korean restaurants will have that option. So if wherever you are, if there's a Korean restaurant nearby, I think that's a good kind of like safe starter to trying out your Korean food. So that's my kind of food segment, is giving that a shout out. Just definitely, be like, yes, try the bulgogi. Try if they give you options for sides, try them all. I even tried, what was it? And I knew I wouldn't like it, and I certainly did not, but I did try it. It was this, I don't know what kind of root, but they said it was like a root of something. It was kind of flat, kind of round, almost like a slice of cucumber or a pickle or something, but it was yellow, and it was something root. And I tried it. I did. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try a little bit of it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the texture, but you got to try it. So go to a Korean restaurant in the next little bit. See if you can try some bulgogi or try some type of simply any of the sides or things like that, and see if you like it. That would be really good. So yeah. All right. So I'm actually going to wrap up here. I do need to run and get ready for tonight. I'm very excited. Thank you all so much for tuning in and for listening. this week. I appreciate those of you. Thank you so much for my faithful listeners. I've got my like chunk of people who, when I see like how many plays an episode have gotten, that I don't see who they are, so I don't know who they are, but I can like the number kind of is the same across each episode, and so I'm like, oh look, those are my faithful people who listen. So thank you guys so much. If you haven't, please go on Instagram, follow me on Instagram. It's just something about Tuesdays. Write me a message. I would love to hear from you. Write me on Apple Podcasts. Thank you guys for the 5-star reviews. Don't forget to leave a written review. Check it out on Spotify. Do that too. Answer the little question thing that I didn't even know was an option on there. Feel free to do all that. But with that, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thank you for listening. I hope you guys have an amazing next couple of weeks. Remember that you're human, but you're not alone in your humanity, and being human isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it can be kind of what pulls us together. God made us so unique and so cool, so value yourself. Know that you're important, that you're special, and I will see you guys in a couple weeks.